Greetings to all of you Tommies. I'm Dennis McDonough, Secretary of Veterans Affairs and a proud Johnny. Despite our longtime rivalry, it's an honor to be with all of you, albeit virtually, for your Veterans Day commemoration and to discuss an issue that is one of our top priorities at VA, honoring veterans with restorative justice. Veterans Day is such an important day for so many reasons. It's a day to remember veterans for their selfless service and tremendous sacrifice. It's a day to recognize that when veterans served our country, so too did their families, caregivers, and survivors. But it's also a call to action, a reminder to all Americans, each and every one of us, that it's our job to serve veterans as well as they've served us. Not just today, but every day. To me, that mission comes back to the promise that our country makes whenever someone signs up to serve in the military. It's a promise that's as simple as it is fundamental. If you serve us, we'll serve you when you come home. If you take care of us, we'll take care of you. If you fight for us, we'll fight for you. The thing is, our country as a whole makes that promise, but it's our job at VA and as future lawyers, like so many of you, as Americans, to keep that promise. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. How we keep that promise for some of the vets who need us most. Let me give you one quick example. During his time in uniform, Kevin Rumley deployed to Iraq. He had joined the Marines at 18, shortly after his mom died. Tragically, a year after his enlistment, Kevin was severely wounded by an improvised explosive device. He spent 18 months at Walter Reed Medical Center, and after 32 surgeries, Kevin was told he'd never walk again. But like so many vets, Kevin took that devastating news as less of a fact and more of a challenge. And before long, he left Walter Reed walking on his own 2 feet. Unfortunately, he was still carrying many of the scars of war with him. He was battling PTS and addiction to opioids. That trauma landed Kevin in jail a few times and led him to experience homelessness. In other words, he needed help. He deserved help. And fortunately, we were able to get it to him. He connected to VA healthcare, where people began to fight for him and to make sure he got the treatment that he needed for his substance abuse, and from teams of people who could provide the services and support he needed, to include housing. In his own words, Kevin says, "Every person at VA cared deeply for me, both as a veteran and as a person, and truly wanted me to be healthy and whole." That's what I mean when I say that we need to fight for vets, in their best moments and in their darkest. And that's what restorative justice is all about. We got to fight for vets as they deal with some of the toughest fights of them all: trauma, substance use, and justice involvement. Some vets reach those dark moments after facing dangers they had never imagined, and now live with invisible wounds of war, to include post-traumatic stress and mental health challenges. Others reach those dark moments after sustaining physical and traumatic brain injuries and are now living with the visible wounds of their service. And in those dark moments, we know that if a vet gets involved with the justice system, it can lead directly to homelessness, substance use disorder, and more. In fact, a study from a few years ago showed that almost half of veterans involved in our homeless program were involved in the justice system. Another study from 2014 showed that 60% of vets in our HUD-VASH program at that time had previously struggled with substance use disorder. So these issues, justice involvement, homelessness, substance use, are inextricable from one another. And when a vet faces them, It's our job at VA to help. Too often, vets believe their justice involvement makes them ineligible for VA healthcare or other benefits that they've earned while serving the country. But oftentimes, that's not the case. And when we work with those vets, our focus is on treating the whole veteran to get them back on their feet. We do that with our homeless programs, providing them with housing and wraparound services to address the symptoms that have led to homelessness in the first place. An approach that has put us on track to place 38,000 homeless veterans into permanent housing by the end of 2022. We do that for vets with substance use disorder, providing them everything from medication to therapy to living spaces. And we do it for vets involved in the justice system with our Veteran Justice Outreach Program, which directly contacts vets in the justice system and gets them into VA care and VA healing as soon as possible. We also partner with the Veteran Treatment Court, which has provided the entire nation with the blueprint on how to help justice-involved vets get the help they so desperately need and so desperately deserve. That first court started a movement, blazed a trail by showing communities how to fight like hell for the vets who had fought like hell for the rest of us. And for almost 15 years, they've been successful for a couple reasons. One, the primary purpose of a veteran treatment court is not to determine whether a vet is guilty of an offense. Instead, their goal is to ensure that vets receive treatment to address unmet clinical needs in combination with judicial monitoring and veteran-specific peer support. And two, they are a perfect example of a community coming together to serve veterans in a holistic way, with the judge and other court staff supervising the legal case, VA and other community providers delivering treatment, and volunteer veteran mentors providing moral support and camaraderie. We've partnered with 641 veteran treatment courts and other veteran-focused programs across the country, including 12 throughout our great state of Minnesota. And we're proud to work with 420 VJO specialists serving justice-involved veterans nationwide. 5 of those specialists are based in Minnesota, 4 at the VA Medical Center in Minneapolis, and 1 at the VA Medical Center in St. Cloud. One of those community partners, the Veterans Defense Project, is right there in Minneapolis. Co-founded by veterans Ryan Else and Brock Hunter, they've worked tirelessly to help vets overcome those darkest moments, to fight and win their battles with addiction, find employment and permanent housing, and build and maintain a stable foundation right there in their communities. On behalf of the entire VA, I want to thank Ryan, Brock, and the entire VDP for all that you've done and continue to do to help our vets. Now, let me close by coming back to Kevin's story, which I started earlier. While Kevin's path down to crisis was lined with an array of complex factors, the road back up was about an array of other factors, like the resiliency of the human spirit and a combination of the right services and support. And thanks to those services and that support, Kevin started playing in a band again, earned a master's degree in social work, and now runs the VTC in Asheville, North Carolina, where each and every day he's fighting to help vets like him recover and remember what's possible. Kevin's story is a reminder of what vets can do if we're there for them when they need us most, like they were there for us when our country needed them most. So, this Veterans Day, that's what I would ask of you. Remember that this day is not only a day of commemoration, but it's a call to action. Find a way to serve vets like Kevin, just like they served us, because that's our sacred duty as Americans, and because veterans deserve nothing less. So, my deep thanks to Professor Hank Shea for this opportunity to help you celebrate our nation's veterans. And to the veterans in the audience, thank you for everything. This nation owes you an extraordinary debt of gratitude. May God bless each of you your families, caregivers, and survivors. And rest assured that at VA, we will always give you our very best.